We are live. Who we got? Who is it?
Okay,
What's the question?
Archie from TikTok.
Hey, Archie. I think I've heard of Archie before.
Hey, mate, just a question.
Aussie.
Second year apprentice in Oz. Would you say to stick through it or change?
Oh, dude. I'd like to know why you want to quit. That's what I'd like to know. Unfortunately, my telepathic skills aren't that good. So you're going to have to probably give me a little bit better heads up than that and give me some context. But look, mate, I think if you're 2 years in, there's no reason for you to get out now. Unless you're being abused or you're not being paid or you're finding it's a terrible or toxic, environment, then get out. If it's really affecting your person, I know that as an apprentice, I definitely wanted to quit probably on more than one occasion. I think I shared last Q&A that I actually did get fired. And then the apprentice who was with me, he just said, he was 2 years ahead of me. He said, just come back in a couple of days and you'll be right. So I did. So, I would probably hang in there, mate, unless it's really not healthy for your person. But don't just quit because it gets a little bit hard because, mate, that's really what life and business is all about. So, that's my 2 bobs worth, mate. Hopefully that helps you.
What are your pay structures like on new contracts?
New contracts, I'm going to say new homes as well. Who asked that question? What, Bold Design?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. If you're doing new homes, it's pretty standard. Like our Build Exact job management software, when you go and create a job or you convert it from a quote to a job, it'll actually ask you, do you want to use the default invoicing stage claims? And, usually that'll be contract signing, slab stage, frame stage, drywall or gyprock stage, and then maybe a finishing paint stage and then a completion, something along those lines. And really it's all geared around making sure that you're getting the right amount of money per stage to cover the scope of work that you're either just completing or just about to start. So, that's on a reno, however, Bold Design Build Group. On a reno, that all comes down to what I call cost spikes. And look, and there you go. You ask another question to follow up. What are your deposits like? Again, it depends. If I was doing a bathroom, I would probably on contract signing maybe take 25%. If I was doing a kitchen, I'd probably take closer to 40, maybe 50, simply because I've got to get that show on the road. And I know my cabinet maker, if he's in a really stinking mood, he's going to ask me for a 50% check. So you've got to look at what your costs are. And what I typically do is teach our general contractors or our builders to use the Gantt chart that's built into the Build Exact software to map out the project, and then that gives us the ability to start red penning the cost spikes, and that gives us a bit of, and then of course we've got to look at how in advance we've got to order, like in the way of appliances or cabinets probably, and that's generally how I'll figure out what my down payment is on a reno, and then or my deposit if you want to call it that, and then the stage claims along the way to make sure that and another thing I'll say too on stage claims is I've had guys that have got shot, metaphorically speaking, people, we don't have those sorts of clients, but they put too much detail inside of the progress payment schedule description. Now, something else that one of my other guys does is he actually says, he'll say upon demolition commencement or upon cabinetry or, commencement. He does it on the commencement, so he's really upfront with it, which is not a bad idea. So in renos, I don't believe there is a set way as much as there is in new construction. I think it's very much case by case, and you've got to have your head screwed on. And please don't just sit back and dartboard the shit out of that. Think about it. Use the technology. If you haven't got the technology, then you've got another problem. You need to think about what technology you can get your hands on to help to take away the guesswork, folks, because that's where us builders get shot. We kind of go, we think we can survive. And then we put too much distance between our progress payment schedule claims, or we put so much detail in the description, the client says, hang on a minute, you've said X, Y, Z, well, that's not installed yet, so I'm not going to pay you. And then you've got to go into bat with the client and go, all right, well, that's worth, 5% or 10% of that payment claim. Can you pay me for the balance? And when I get that done, I'll get the rest. So, just pay attention to the detail. You're welcome, Bold Design. Well, and Merry Christmas to you, my friend. Thanks for chiming in. Thanks for your questions. Righto. Let's go, Jill.
Zach from TikTok.
G'day, Zach from TikTok.
I'm a 19-year-old carpenter. I'll be a journeyman next year. Is it worth it becoming a contractor or staying with a big company?
I like your question, Zach, because when I was 19, I was a third-year apprentice as well. So by the time I was 20 and a half, I was like on the road. I was a free agent, if you will. But I think the fact that your second part of the question is, should I stay or should I go? Pretty sure that's some lyrics to a song. I think Jill's smiling, so that probably is, should I stay or should I go? Who sings that? That's a punk rock.
I can hear it in my head, but I don't know the artist.
Ugly Kid Joe. No, I don't know. Anyway, the fact that you've asked two parts to that question, Zach, I think...
Clash.
Who?
The Clash.
The Clash. There you go. Good. Zach's nailed it. Attaboy. I think the fact is, I think it was a good thing. I probably hung around my builder because I'm like, okay, I've got the credential to piss off and go and be a sub, but I was kind of probably happy just to sort of, get the feel. So a couple of years with a big company, if you're only 20, like, geez Louise, I'm 49, dude. Like, I still dick around like I'm freaking 12, but, like that time will go so fast. So I think just hunker down, mate. And if you're going to get into business, know this. You've got to have some cash reserve. Please don't do what I did when I was 20, making $1,000 a week. Back then it was a lot of money. And you would, as quickly as I would make it, I would go and spend it on guitars or effects or trucks or God knows what. But I had a bunch of fun, but I had no money left in the bank, always. So if you're going to be successful in business, you've really got to scale the mountain. You've got to have oxygen, and oxygen is cash. And so think about the long game, Zach. Thanks for the clarification on the band name, and mate, wishing you well. I hope you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and stay close, mate, because I'm looking forward to seeing how you go in the long term. Do you think a general manager would be good? Now, property maintenance, I don't know. It all comes down to revenue targets, because if you're only going to do $300,000 a year, you haven't got a lot of room for, spending on humans. It's just depending on what your gross profit margin percentage is. So if my guys are doing 300 a year, which is not much, they've all got to shoot for around about the $1 million a year. You would probably, out of 300 grand, we would be taking about $90,000 in profit. That includes your salary. So where else is someone going to fit in? If you're taking 70 and they're taking 20, well, they're not going to stay with you for very long. Got a question there from Karu. Is that the one?
Yep.
Your question is, what's your best advice for retaining staff? Well, probably it's a mixture. I think that it's down to the owner of the business to develop a good culture, and then obviously from that culture, and we've seen this in the business this year, where the culture has got so hot for some individuals, they just can't handle it and they got to go because it's just so up in their grill. So I think you can't, you know what, I would almost say, and this is me just shooting from the hip, and I have had a tequila shot, so that could be just the alcohol talking. But I don't think you can retain staff. I think what you do is you nurture the relationship. That's how you retain staff. Now, I think a lot of the time it's very challenging for bosses, but then it's also challenging for humans that work for you. So like I was talking about at the start of the show, trying to put a rock and roll band together is just bullshit difficult because, we're just a bunch of egos who like to get up on stage and watch people dance. And then you try and bring 5 of those crew together and holy shit, it's difficult. So retaining good staff. Here's one tip I've got for you. Absorb idiosyncrasies. Now, I've got a wife and I've got 6 kids and still 5 of those kids live at home. And I will tell you right now that if we all got pissed completely at each other's little idiosyncrasies, there would be war all the time. I think sometimes we've just got to absorb that idiosyncrasy and walk away because none of us are perfect. So retaining good staff, I think, is not looking for perfection, perhaps looking for excellence maybe. But I think there is a chemistry thing as well. Sometimes it just doesn't work. Like, I'm not a marriage counselor, but, having been married now since 1995, which is quite a long time, and I can't do the math up to my head. Although I can tell you what your break-even point is based on your percentage of gross profit. I think a lot of the time it really is I didn't know what I was going to say about marriage counselling or not marriage counselling. I'm not a marriage counsellor, but pregnant pause. But it's just not perfect. It just takes time. Oh, that's right. That's what I was going to say. Because I'm very different to my better half. Okay, let's move on. So that's my tips for retaining staff. Right.
We have a few for questions from before that we could go over.
Hang on, we've got one. I'm going to go to Instagram. if that's okay. Can I go and answer? It just popped up. Design Westcon. when you're doing your profit calculations, do you allocate a wage for yourself and then factor profit on top of that? Or how would you handle paying yourself? Easy, bro. What we do is, and I'll give you the math. This is why, the reason I do this as a franchisor with 7 franchise general contractors in Canada and probably over 90 in Australia and New Zealand. This is not new under the sun. What the problem with what I'm about to tell you is the guys and gals don't believe me and they think I'm freaking ripping people off. And then they'll complain they're not making money. So, Design Westcon. The answer to the question is, depending on the size of the job, and I'm not talking about new homes, so I don't know what you specialize in, but our niche is renovations, remodeling. And so there's a lot of what do you call it? Unpredictable costs. There's a lot of blind sides. We take a lot of risk when it comes to giving a fixed price contract, which is what we do for our clients. We give them a list of specifications. We get that fixed price contract sorted out, and then we go into construction. Now, what we do is we mark up probably 45%. It's recommended because a lot of the jobs are south of 150 grand. Right, he's doing mainly renos. Okay, so this will apply. So my next question to you, Design Westcon, do you want to hang it out there and let me know what you mark up your materials and labour on? And that'll give us a little bit of entertainment on the way through. But what we do is we mark up by 45%. Now, that's got to cover all of your operating costs, fixed expenses, overheads, call them whatever you like, and it's got to cover your wage. Then, after that's all taken away or taken out, we still should have a 10% minimum net profit that you would then pay tax on, okay? Anything less than 10, especially when it's getting close to zero, you're basically dying. Your business is going south. And so Design Westcon, if you can tell me what percentage markup, if you want to throw it there, if you don't, respect. But that's what I would say. So your question, when you're doing profit calculations, we add on a 45% markup, and that's got to cover all my running costs, including my wage. And then once I take that away, whatever's left, 10%, that's what we then pay tax on, okay? Or we allocate that to operational profit, that we can then use to build a business. And if you are building the business, make sure you got 3 months worth of fixed expenses put aside. So if your business costs you 20 grand to run, before you jump, you got to get 60 together. Labor is $62.50 an hour, and I mark up materials. Dude, you're leaving so much money on the table, bro. And he's a one-man show as well. I get it. I have my guys all the time. We would put labor in. I will assume that's a carpentry labor price at $62.50, which is cool. And we would mark up the $62.50, bro, because it's a cost of goods sold. If that's a carpentry labor amount and you're one-man band and that's your labor, that's your hourly rate. And you might bring that down a touch. You might go $55 and then you'll put your 45% markup on it. But it's a good hourly rate, and but you need to mark up. The 15% markup, my friend. Now, the other thing, Design Westcon, are you doing cost plus? Or are you doing, and I've got a feeling he's doing cost plus, because at 15%, that is super typical. So if you're doing cost plus, you'll be marking up by 15% and killing yourself because you're not making money. Feel free to chime in again, Design Westcon. I might go, who would be next cab off the rank while we rate for Design Westcon? Another question, who's next?
How does one learn how to estimate effectively?
Yeah, if you're going to be like, profit is a natural byproduct of estimating. So the question is, how do I estimate effectively? I honest to God believe that for me to this day, estimating is not a challenge because I've just done so much building hands-on. And that's why, I get concerned with guys that want to run out and be a general contractor, because I'm telling you, you get one bad job or you get one or two crusty clients that don't pay, all of a sudden you're basically spending money out of your own pocket and you're going backwards. You would have been better off sitting on the beach going broke than working your ass off, spending money on material, dealing with the stress. Honest to God. I used to say that at the end of my days as a carpentry contractor, I'd say, mate, piss off, I'd rather go up the beach. I'd rather go up the beach and make no money and spend money on gas, but at least I would enjoy myself going broke rather than working for some of these muppets. So, I believe estimating is a craft. I did a basics in estimating with an industry association similar to Canadian Home Builders Association or the National Association of Home Builders in America. It was called Master Builders in Australia. And I did a basics in estimating, the best thing I ever did, because it really gave me and I think I am still friends with that instructor on LinkedIn, because he was just in the industry at that time. So super important that you get some upgraded skills, and maybe I could do a video on that and put that on the VIP B for B VIP Facebook group. We talk a big game. Hope that helps. What's next? We got
Jack from TikTok.
Okay, Jack.
Any tips for a young plumber about to hook in and run their own show?
Bite off more than you can chew. Chew like a bastard. Don't trust anybody. What else? Dream big. Start small. Systemize everything. Start to understand. See, you've done 4 years as a plumber. What you haven't been taught, guarantee you this, is you haven't been taught anything about financial management, and you haven't been taught anything about human resource management, and you haven't been taught anything as it relates to business development fundamentals. So go and write that down right now. Jack's back. Financial management, human resource management, business development fundamentals, okay? Because you don't need to learn anything more about your craft, give or take. Now, we've all got something we can learn. I get that shit. Don't go and bash me on comments. I know. But I'm just saying that what you've done is you've learnt the trade, and what's running way behind is your understanding of business, right? So as a young plumber with all of the plumbing skills, like if I said to Jack, hey, Jack, what are you using? What are you using, or what are you going to use for invoicing? And if you say I'm going to go down to local stationery supplies and buy an invoice book, I'm going to block you from my page, Jack. Mate, you need to get amongst some digital stuff, Jack. So that's what I do, mate. Hopefully that helps. Again, Max at businessforbuilders.ca. And hit me up and we'll look, there's a lot of young guys. What I'm noticing, especially on TikTok, this B4B VIP group, I was wrestling with my team this afternoon about what am I going to do? Because I am just one person. But, maybe not so much the old hands, although there could be some benefit there, but the young guys, just maybe a startup group. We'll just see. But there seems to be a lot of... Isn't it interesting that Jack, I don't know where Jack Woodcock's from, but isn't it interesting he jumps on TikTok to get advice? Excellent. I'm glad you're here, Jack. But I'm like, if it wasn't for TikTok, where does he get his information? He goes off running being a good plumber, and then you're learning on how to build business on the fly, which is just bullshit. Okie dokie. Who would be next? I've got a bit of
bathrooms by Boyko.
Hold that thought. I got that one. I've got a comment from Design Westcon. Depending on the job, extensive interior renos, a cost plus, everything else is fixed. Okay. Dude, on fixed price, let me talk to Design Westcon real quick, and we'll come back to bathrooms by, is it Boyko? Mm-hmm. Yeah. What you're doing on the fixed price, what you're selling them is not just renovation services, my friend. What you're selling them is peace of mind and security. Dude, you want to know what my competitive advantage is in this country? Because where I come from in Australia, I don't have this competitive advantage because we all do fixed price. But here, everyone's big on cost plus. It's the biggest load of horse shit. And I've got all kinds of people that, tell me that. And look, and if you can do it and make it work, good for you. But all of my guys in this business right now with me all did cost plus. And when they saw how we go about selling and messaging around fixed price and what it does and the psychology around that, they are just like, I never want to see cost plus again. So Design Westcon, if you want to make more money, sell peace of mind, security, and satisfaction. So what we do is we give them the fixed price, we give them the list of specifications, everything's detailed before we go to contract. We do not go to contract. I don't care if there's one tap set you haven't selected. I don't care if there's one door cupboard handle you haven't selected. I'm not going to put the documents together until we've got everything done in the specifications as per the selection sheet. And I'm telling you, when people can get into construction and they don't have to worry about a thing because you're midway trying to get them to make a selection and you're running short of time and you've got other jobs banking up, that's when you're going to be glad that you did the work. Now, just so you know, in the what I'd call preliminary phase, sales process, what we call a design plan, we do the quantity takeoff service, we charge for that service. So we're getting a token from the clients as it relates to that. And we're also building trust and rapport, and we're figuring actually, do we want to work for these people? Because at the end of it, they'll pay the money and they'll get all of the design details and the quote. And at that point, we've met our obligation if we don't want to work for them. So that's a long way of answering that question. What I'm saying to you, bro, is if you do fixed price, sell the creature comforts to the client and start marking up your fixed price at 45%. You know what? Start marking up at 41% because jumping from 15 to 41 is going to be huge for you. Even 40. And talk to me on email, max@businessforbuilders.ca, and let me know if you've got any questions around structuring your next quote, because you're going to do the work anyway. I can talk to you about how we get paid to quote. Matter of fact, episode number 60. I'm just trying to pull a rabbit. Where I talk about on my podcast, the Business for Builders podcast, I talk about how to get paid to quote, and it's either 60 or 75. Brrr, drum roll, get my guitar. Brrr.
Well, the one that I have here Oh, it's 60, yeah.
Yep, okay. Episode number 60, whether you're on YouTube or whether you're on podcast, is where I talk about how to get paid to quote. Design Westcon, go check that out, and then hit me up on email, and let's jam around this shit a bit more, and I'll help you out and see if we can't get you making some more money in 2023, because 2023 is about peace, productivity, and profitability. That's what we're going to say. Help a Human Day. Who's next? Okay. Yeah, I don't actually do. He's asked me, do I have a one-on-one sessions to chat through things? Mate, I don't, because I'm busy developing a multi-million-dollar franchise brand, and so this is all very on the side, if you like. But what was the email again? It is Max, as in Mad Max, Max at businessforbuilders.ca. Business, F-O-R, builders.ca. Where are we up to?
So,
you got anything else?
Riley from TikTok.
Hey, Riley.
Hi, third-year apprentice here. I was wondering your thoughts about how realistic it would be to travel Australia out of my car while doing small jobs along the way,
mate,
when I finish my apprenticeship.
Mate, I reckon if and Riley just said he's in Oz.
Yeah, he wants to travel through Australia out of his car.
I reckon what you need to do, mate, and look, I think if I was back in your boots and I had that kind of desire, I think, oddly enough, I got married when I was 22. So, I would have had the missus rolling with me. But I think because you've got technology, mate, you could literally go, right, this is where I want to go. I don't know where Riley was, whether he was down south or whether I don't know if he wants to go up the East Coast and across to Darwin or what he wants to do. But you could get on Instagram or Facebook and just plot your course and just talk to people in advance and say, hey, I'm coming with a bunch of basic hand tools. Maybe find carpentry contractors, subcontractors in all those cities, and just go, mate, I'll work for minimum. I just need a little bit of gas money to keep me wheels turning. I'll work for you for 2 weeks and then I'll push on. That'd be pretty gnarly. If you did that for 12 months, I reckon that would be one of the coolest things. Before you go get bogged down and do business and blah blah blah, have some fun.
Riley's from Newcastle in New South Wales.
Right, so where you going? I wonder which way he's going, whether he'd go south or whether he wouldn't head to Adelaide, surely. Maybe if he goes to Western Australia, maybe he'll head up the west coast to Kimberley's, starting from Newcastle. I wonder if he's going north or south. Anyway, that's a cool conversation. Yeah, man, that's what I would do. Now, we got any other questions?
Yep, Tommy from TikTok.
Hey, Tommy.
I have my first internship this summer too. 5 tips.
I guess who you working? Like, is he working for a carpenter, or he says internship? So
yeah, maybe if Tommy wants to answer that.
Yeah, Tommy, hit me back. Just let me know when you do an intern. You're doing it as a tradesperson, I would imagine. Don't know. Anyway, he'll get back to us. So while we're waiting on Tommy, let's go to the next one.
Okay, Zach from TikTok.
Right, Zach again. Same Zach or different Zach? We got multiple Zachs. Cheers to Zachs. Let's go.
Any input on buildertrend for project management? Currently using spreadsheets and Google Drive.
Okay. Dude, anything is better than spreadsheets and Google Drive. Good on you for giving it a crack, with those tools. But, the challenge is you've got to be able to input the data and then to around the whole country. Is he going north or is he going south? Tell me that, bud. Are you going to head north, go to North Queensland? Anyway, we'll come back to him. We'll follow Riley's trip all around the countryside while he's getting it on. Make sure you stop in at the Sunshine Coast and see my buddies there in Mooloolaba. I'm sure Riley will know where Mooloolaba is. But yeah, good on you for using spreadsheets and Google Drive, because that's the problem that you're going to face is the lack of interface. So we talk about user interface. When we use, and it's not perfect, buildertrend would be definitely much better, but anything would be better than spreadsheets as far as usability. It's just you've got to have a very coherent piece of software, because if you're quoting multiple jobs, which I'm assuming you would, Merry Christmas to you, Riley. Thanks, buddy, for chiming in. Appreciate your questions. You really want to be able to really get through the analytics on a project that you're quoting quick, and then, move on to the next one. If you get stuck down because your tools, okay, it's like this. If you're a carpenter, imagine trying to chisel a front door lock and latch when your chisel looks about as sharp as this pen, right? It's impossible. It'll drive you nuts. That's how I would feel doing job management or scheduling using spreadsheets and Google Drive compared to a Buildertrend or a Build Exact or anything else, quite frankly. So, Yeah, attaboy, Riley's going north first. So, mate, yeah, look, I would say give Buildertrend a go. It's just, like, depends on what your budget is too, mate. Like, I think you can spend, like with Build Exact, I think a retail for the whole package, the Pro, is like $299 a month. And that's got a graphic takeoff component. It's got your scheduling, which is like your Gantt chart capability. You can do it for a little bit less, maybe $199 to just get the estimating side of it and possibly invoicing. I'm not sure. But yeah, you've got to get under technology if you want to build a big business. If you just want to do a couple $100,000 a year, you could probably get away with just using something rudimentary like, you know, spreadsheets or Google Sheets or whatever the case may be. If you want to build a business, get the right tools. Hope that helps. Someone just asked, is Buildertrend your go-to software? Mate, it could be, except because I'm running a franchise organization, we need each of our guys' software to talk to our franchise portal. Okay, and what you need from the software developer is what we call an open API. And Buildertrend ring me constantly going, can we give you a demo? And I'm like, mate, would someone please put notes on my file? You haven't got an open API, so your shit can't talk to my shit. But as far as a one-off user, mate, Buildertrend is okay. But no, they're not my go-to software at the moment. We've got over 100 general contractors, builders using Build Exact. So you can go to buildexact.ca, buildexact.com, buildexact.com.au, or just Google Build Exact estimating software and you'll find it, I would say.
And episode 75.
Episode 75, that's what I'll talk to you about, how I use Build Exact, and that'll be on the Business for Builders podcast and the Business for Builders YouTube channel. All right, let's go. What do we got next?
JR from TikTok.
What do we got?
Cost plus or fixed contractor fee? Which do you prefer? Custom residential home building.
Okay, custom residential. So that's new homes. Mate, I built a 5-plex for an investor, which was almost a $1.1 million contract. That was on fixed price. 9 months to build. And, cost plus or fixed price. Fixed contractor fee. I'm not sure what fixed contractor fee is. Fixed price.
You might just mean fixed price versus cost plus.
I prefer fixed price because I've got a high appetite for risk and I'm a gangster estimator. And I get shit done on site and I deliver with high efficiency. And if there's a cock up, I fix that shit quick. So there's the 3 things: high appetite for risk, gangster estimator, and a delivery expert. That's what I would say. You need to get those 3. You could have a big appetite for risk, or you're just ridiculously optimistic unnecessarily. And you could be a great estimator, but if your ability to handle trades and overcome challenges on a building site and you just fall over like a bag of shit, then you're going to have trouble. So you got to tick all those boxes. Big appetite, high appetite for risk, be able to estimate pretty clinically, and then and be a really good executor on site. Those 3 things, you put those 3 things together and on top of a fixed price building contract, and you will make more money, guaranteed. Guaranteed, that's a big word. Holy shit, did I just say that? Okay, guaranteed in brackets, subject to the operator's capability. Go.
And if you want to learn more about the fixed price, episode 44 is a good one.
Episode 44, I must talk a lot about fixed price contracts.
Our competitive advantage, yeah.
Which is our competitive advantage in this country, because if you're in Australia, everyone does mostly fixed price. They don't do so much cost plus there, but here definitely. So you're welcome, JR. Thanks for the question. What do we got next?
Riley from TikTok.
Righto, Riley.
Best advice for a qualified chippy wanting to go out on their own. Cheers.
Well, I should do a podcast on what's some good advice. Actually, I should do that. What I'm going to do, when you start out, this is what I say. I say, Riley, dream big, start small, systemize the shit out of everything, educate yourself around financial management, human resource management, and business development fundamentals, my friend. Because you don't need to know how to build shit now. If you're a qualified chippy, you're off to the races. You don't need to know. Now, you will learn stuff on the fly. Of course you will. I mean, I'm still learning stuff off my guys here and little techniques and things. But for the most part, the mother lode about education around carpentry, you've got that in the bag. What you need to do now is understand what it takes to build. The easiest thing, so this is it. The easiest thing I ever did was get my builder's license. The hardest thing I ever did was to make money as a builder or a general contractor. Fact. And I thought getting a builder's license was bloody ridiculous because I didn't graduate and I was really a pathetic student at school and it was just the hardest thing. And then I tried to deal with all of that bullshit around financial metrics, analyzing, the different, break-even points and how to, what profit margin to, go for and things like that. So that's what I would say, Riley, is to dream big, start small, systemize the shit out of everything, focus on financial metrics and financial analytics and financial management. Understand human resource management is a massive part. Cultural building. In other words, what is the vibe of your village? And then of course, what was the last thing? Business development fundamentals. You need to look around. Okay, so one of the business development fundamentals might be if I want to bring on, let's say, a supervisor or superintendent, and he's going to cost me 10 grand a month, and I'm already spending 10 grand a month on myself and running the business, that's 20 grand a month. What I would advise you, Riley, is if you're going to grow the business, you want to set up the cash at bank to cover 3 months of that little bit of a growth spurt that you're going to have where you go from 10 to 20. I would advise you to put 3 months worth of bank aside. That means you can't go and buy the latest model Toyota Hilux, and all the North Americans go, what is a Hilux? Well, that's a Tacoma in North American language. Mate, just drive that thing and repair that truck that you've got, mate. Don't worry about the bling. Stop spending money that you don't have on things you don't need to impress people who don't give a shit. You understand that, my friend? There's some advice. Yeah, I'm probably old enough to be all these kids' dads. Like, bloody hell.
Do you mark up subcontractors' quotes too?
Yes, I do. You know why I do that? Let me talk to the community right now. The reason that I mark shit up, especially as it relates to subcontractors, is A, someone's got to go and get that muppet to give me a quote. B, I've got to put him in my schedule, which means I've got to liaise with him several times to make sure that my build schedule is right. Then once he starts working for me on site, I've got to do quality control because I'm insulating the client from all the horse shit that subbies put me through, such as, oh, Max, I can't come today because my dog's died. Now, I've had dogs. I get it. It's tragic if they pass away. But, mate, this is what I'm telling you. So I'm giving you the reasons why. Now, poor subby, dog's died. I can't go back to the client and go, well, I'm sorry, we're not going to get the drywall finished today because my subby's dog passed away. Guess what the client's going to say? Max, I don't give a shit. I want my job finished. That's what's going to happen. That's why I mark up. And then, of course, if said subby decides to have a meltdown and doesn't finish the job, then I've got to deal with the legal side of it. Plus, I'm going to go and find another guy to finish it. And then in the event that the guy's going to finish it anyway and he does an ordinary job because he just quits giving a shit, now I've got to go into quality control and I've got to wrestle with him to either redo it, fix the repairs, or I've got to get someone else to do it. So, dude, guys that stand up and say I shouldn't be marking up, like everything that's under my control, I've got to put a fee on because I'm in control. I'm the builder. And when I don't, I am losing money. Hands up all those who like to lose money. Nobody. So start marking shit up properly, folks. If you want to build a legit business, high performance, that is part of the game. So figure out how to sell features and benefits to clients, find out what's important to them, make it important to you, and you will sell on service instead of on price, okay? Competing on price, race to the bottom, don't do it. What else is happening?
How do you deal with new workers? Do you have strategies for mentoring new workers within your team?
Yeah, look, I think, it's a challenge, right? Because we all want to try and create leverage within our business. We all want to create systems, have good humans running systems because systems and tools gives us leverage, which means it gives us lifestyle. The more leverage we have, the more lifestyle we have. The challenge is that people, it's that shit changes. And so, you just don't want to, promise something to somebody. But the flip side is, and this is the equilibrium, you got to make sure you're not freaking Mother Teresa, dude. Like, unless you're Sebastian who loves to lose money, right? You just can't afford to have, people around that are costing you money unnecessarily and don't have output. Or if you're too top heavy, and I've seen this when I've told guys that you need to seriously cut costs immediately. You need to get rid of those 4 staff. And he's like, nope, can't do it. Guess what? 6 months later, he had no staff. They're all gone anyway because he was a challenging boss to work for. And so, I think you want to just make sure that you're developing that process. And it's all about chemistry. What you'll find is that you've got to actually give something to get something. And so, it can turn you into a bit of a monster if you're not careful, because I know I've had my fair share of challenges this year. And if you're not careful, it will poison your attitude, and you've just got to stand away from that. But it is a wonderful thing when you've got great people working. So, don't quit. That's how I keep them. I don't know. What's happening? What did I miss?
Matthew from TikTok.
Matthew.
Any joinery related business tips or tricks?
See, business tips and tricks really relate to whatever business you're in, Matthew. It doesn't really matter that you're joinery. I think the only thing that might relate is you've got to understand who your target market is. You've got to understand what's important to them, make it important to you. Your messaging has to be targeted specifically towards your preferred client profile. You've got to make sure that your messaging is very much in line with your niche, and sounds like you are being a specialist, so that's good. But and then you flip it over and you're just like, okay, thank you. You flip it over and you're like, well, you've got to be good at those, not joinery other than the marketing side of it, and make sure that you can demonstrate value to your clients. You've just got to start understanding that it's business. It's all about your profit and loss. And if you're not looking at your profit and loss, folks, everybody, ready? If you're not looking at your profit and loss on a monthly basis and you don't understand what your fixed expenses are and you can't tell me what your profit margin percentage is, you are a very good tradesperson, but you're a shit business operator. Now that clip, that will get some love on TikTok.
I've already noted it down.
That will get some love. So I don't even know if that answers his question, but he was a joinery. Yeah, look, the business fundamentals are the same. Dream big, start small, systemize everything, focus on financial management, look into how to manage human resources better, educate yourself around that, and educate yourself around business development fundamentals, because everyone wants to grow a business, because apparently growing a business is where there's lots of money. Well, I'm telling you that there's the higher the levels, the bigger the devils. Go and check that podcast out. So someone keeps giving me a question mark. Right.
Who's your Jaddy? From TikTok.
Is that his name?
Who's your Jaddy?
Who's your Jaddy? Okay. Hey.
My last client refused to pay me for my time at hardware, setup, and packup on my last job. Thoughts?
That's why you don't do cost plus, my friend. Now, if anybody's out there right now and they're looking for a reason why cost plus is a shit operation, there's one statement from one of our friends here on TikTok. Clients sit there and go, I'm not going to pay you for your time. That's exactly why I don't want to do cost plus. I don't need some freaking homeowner telling me when I shouldn't be getting paid. If I'm going to supply my tools, then I'm going to get paid to make sure that they're safe at the end of the night. And I'm certainly going to make sure, I get out the tools that I need. And having a client say to me that we're not paying you for that time, that's the problem with cost plus. See, the builders go, we give them transparency. Well, there you go. You give them transparency and all they do is kick you in the, I was going to say balls, but, we might have some gals out there too, and that wouldn't really relate. But figuratively speaking, you know what I'm talking about. And, dude, that's so what was that? Just run the question again. What do I do?
My last client refused to pay me for my time at hardware, setup, and packup on my last job.
So at hardware, they don't want to pay you because they're like, well, you're not working on my project. No shit, Sherlock. So what I'll do next time is I'll order it and you'll pay delivery. And I'm a lot cheaper. My hourly rate's a lot cheaper than their delivery cost. So, dude, I throw my hands up and I'm just like, I hate cost plus. And there's lots of guys out there that make it work, but I shit you not. In the long term, it's all of those questions. If you have 5 clients like that asking the same question and they think they're justified by not paying you, and yet it is a running cost. It's like, this is what I have to do to get these materials on site. And that you actually are saving your money by going and picking them up if you're doing it efficiently. If you make 6 trips to the hardware store, you got shit for brains and you need to seriously figure out your delivery methods, because that's not cool. But if you're going once every 2 days and you're coming home with a truckload of stuff, they need to just lighten up, back the truck up, or get somebody else, because I'm done dealing with that. Hope that helps.
So Ray Razzo from TikTok.
Yep.
Have you read Profit First?
No, I have not. It's one of the books that I have not read. I don't even know who the author is.
User from TikTok.
What's the question?
Hey, mate, what should business owners focus on in 2023, and what are the biggest challenges for
builders in Australia? Got it. Welcome, Denny Alf, to Instagram. Jura Board, welcome. And is that all Tis Construction? Oh, geez. I'm sorry if I cocked that name up, bro.
Altis.
TIS? Or TLS?
Yeah.
All TLS Construction. BT Builders also joined us in Insta. Welcome, champion. Okay, so in 2023, getting back to users.
And he just said builders in Australia.
Yeah, getting back to users' question. Mate, in 2023, it really comes down to what did you do in 2022? More to the point, what didn't you do, or what didn't you achieve, or what regrets do you have? Or what are some things that you thought you'd do better in 2022 that you did really shit in 2021 and you didn't actually do that? And you'd want to go, okay, now I'm 12 months down and I didn't do it any better. Why not? So I think it's a very individual. I think the question, and he's from Vancouver. Hello, mate. That was, Altiz Construction. Hello from Vancouver. I think, mate, in 2023, it comes down to what it is that you need to do. I'll tell you this. This is my 2 bobs worth, we'd say in Australia, Straya, Australia, is that you will find that this year will be a tougher time. We've already experienced where we've seen a bit of a down in lead generation because during COVID, nobody was traveling. So they're like, well, all this money's burning a hole in my pocket. So I think I'll go and drop 75K on a kitchen. And we had a lot of that shit going on. But now, because people are they squirrel off. Oh, I'm going to go to Hawaii because I can travel now. Or I'm going to piss off and buy that sports car or whatever. What we're finding is that the biggest challenge for 2023, I definitely think is going to be consistent lead generation. And enabling, you to have what we call a full top of funnel. So plenty of inquiry level. And if you're like us, we kind of qualify pretty hard because there's a certain type of client that we're looking for. We don't just kind of, work with or for anybody. So I think in 2023, you've got to start thinking about, I know we're wrestling with Google Ads at the moment. We've got one particular location which up till recently was kicking me in the ass as far as, getting lead gen. We've kind of had a bit of a reprieve over the last 2 or 3 weeks. That's kind of improved. But I'm telling you, we've spent serious money on advertising and we have the ROI has not been what it was in the last 24 months. I kid you not. So you'd want to just be aware of that. And if you've had a fairly good run up till now, don't think that it's going to carry on. You're going to have to probably work your face off a little more for that because the marketplace is essentially the opportunity is just growing a little bit smaller. I've seen the metrics grow year on year in this city of 40,000 people, which is not very big. I've seen that increase in 2 years. It's increased probably 10% a year, which is pretty cool. But I'm telling you, I'm looking forward to seeing the results that come out in, say, June, July next year. It went from 121 million to 141 million. Watch what happens in this cycle right now in the years 2022, 2023. 2021, 2022, because they're about a year behind, I think. The performance will be down, and that's just because life has kind of settled down. Plus, we're dealing with, inflation. So you'll have an opinion on that. It might not matter to you, but in some cases it does affect it because I'm feeding right now 7 general contractors in Canada. So I'm seeing, different communities, different ecosystems. And in some cases it's working, and in other cases, different areas it's not. So we've got our hands full. So next question.
Thomas from TikTok.
Hey, Thomas from TikTok.
College or field experience to become a GC?
Field experience.
I'm a 21-year-old framer.
Field experience, mate. I'm telling you, look, if I can have CEO and managing partner on my business card and my email signature and I didn't graduate, but I did okay in the field, that's my opinion, bro. You gotta think about yourself. You're gonna cop shit from your parents, but I'm telling you, like, I had to go and get my credential. Don't get me wrong. I had to, go and get my carpentry and joinery ticket. I then had to go and do the builder's registration course, which just about killed me, which I thought was the end of the world until I went and started operating a building company. And then I was getting destroyed even more in the lack of understanding. And so, yeah, but definitely you just it's why we end up doing what we're doing. I was not an academic at school, not in a classroom setting, but when I hit the building site, it seemed to gel. And I, could actually see something happen and I could categorize that and I retained that information. And then I had reasonable hand skills so I could execute, stay organized and go all right. How to deal with a bad foreman. Let me just emotionally stabilize before I answer that question like a redneck. Now I'm in my CEO role. How do you deal with a bad foreman? You express to him your concerns about his methodologies and how he does what he does. You would want to have given him some framework. So, because what you don't measure, you can't manage. So if you haven't told your foreman what his metrics are for the month, i.e. stage claims, i.e., deadlines, if he's not hit those, if you haven't given him the framework, what you've done is set him up for failure. I think you would need to give me some clarification. If he's that bad, fire his ass. Send him down the road. Give him some kind candor. Let him know he's a nice guy, great guy to have a beer with. He just doesn't really control the projects very well. But what I would need to know is what makes him a bad foreman. That would be, oh gosh, everyone's rushing with questions now. There's some class acts. So yeah, mate, I'd need to know he's a bad foreman because he constantly doesn't enforce quality control.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like I said I was going to give some marriage counselling, so here I go. Oh, that's awesome. Macca Kid, you're a special kind of guy. Mate, that tells me you're a full-blown gangster. I mean, what is a quality gangster who's not a family man and doesn't have a mistress? There you go, bro. That's all I got for you.
What makes someone a viable team leader? What are appealing aspects that I should aim for? That's Caleb from TikTok.
Righto, Caleb. Straight out the gate, mate, you've got to be, you've really got to be focused on chemistry. Professionalism is one. I don't need, I've employed in the past so badly and it bites you in the ass every time because, you just got to let them go. You got to fire their ass. But I think having an equal measures, it's like saying, well, you want some people in your rock and roll band, but they can't have ego. Well, it just won't work because they'll be boring as watching paint dry. They've got to have ego and humility in equal measures. I think a perfect example of a leader, and this will strike you because this will be left field. If you know who Dave Grohl is, if you don't know who Dave Grohl is, he was the drummer for Nirvana. He's now the lead singer of a little band called Foo Fighters. That guy he is such a great entertainer, and yet he's got great humility, and he just doesn't walk around with a stick up his ass, and I think he's a great dude. So if you're looking for a leader, what you've got to have is ego and humility in good balance. You've got to have good accountability. You've got to be teachable because if that leader is working for you, if they were, they should be, if they're not willing to learn off of you or be accountable to you, then they should be out doing their own thing, right? So that's why it's got to work pretty tightly together in that regard. So teachability, responsibility, accountability. What's another ability question?
He'd probably benefit from episode 112, our most recent ones when we talk about 11 characteristics of a professional
That's
builder.
where they are.
Yeah.
Righto. And what was that question? I've lost his name now. Was that JH? No. Who was asking about a viable leader?
Yeah, that was Caleb.
Caleb. Go to episode 112. Episode 112, I talk about the 11 characteristics of a quality human. Is that what I did?
Of a professional builder.
Of a professional builder.
But a lot of them tie into leadership.
The same
as
characteristics on that episode 112, whether you're on YouTube or podcast, that will give you all of those qualities that if you, like you just said, what's a quality leader? Go and watch that. Go and listen to that episode 112. Nailed it. Mic drop. Boink. Okay.
So Colin from TikTok.
Okay, Colin.
If I'm starting a carpentry company, should I offer a new company discount, if that makes sense?
Seriously, dude, you cannot afford to offer discounts. See, what you're doing is you're trying to compete on price. How about flipping it the other way and backing yourself and going, I offer a good service. I'm a bloody good operator. I've got a high level of integrity. What I say I do, and what I do I say no. Okay, your word is your bond is your truth is your strength, and you really should look at who your target market is, i.e. builders. Not all builders are like this, right? But you've got to find builders that actually appreciate, and they're a small slither or small niche in amongst a lot of the big builders. And, you need to make sure that you work for the right builders, because if you don't, you've got to start compromising your position. Like I know I work for a builder in Southeast Queensland, did 1,000 homes a year, and the worst money in the world. But I could really streamline the execution where we were doing 2 jobs a day that were worth $1,000 each, and I was paying 2 guys for the day. But we were hustling, dude. I was pushing hard, and it was very systemized. So please don't offer discounts, dude. That's such a bullshit move. It's just such it's a tactical play on commodities. And I'm telling you, my friend, you and I as carpenters are not a commodity. We're a freaking service, okay? So just don't. The discount game is just a dead man's game. Don't do it. Try something else. Get creative. Put yourself in the customer's shoes. Find out what's important to them. Make it important to you and figure out how you can sell that shit back to them. Go.
We have a comment from Jay Holes on TikTok.
Okay, Jay.
He just says, shout out to you because you're a legend. You have helped me so much since I've started my own business.
Love you back, big fella. It's nice to know that we're just making a little bit of a difference. And so, you enjoy your Christmas and I hope you have a peaceful, productive and profitable 2023, my friend. Stick around. I like hearing from you. What's next?
Do you have your sub-trades bid or do you know their pricing?
This is what I do. Good question. What I do is a hybrid version. You know, having been in the game for longer than I care to remember, but it'll be 34 years, I suppose, next year. Mate, there's some times where I know, like that story I just told before about the elevator. I dragged my electrician out there and I said, Andy, we're going to have to run another circuit for the elevator. We've got to run another circuit because I'm going to put in new lights and more outlets. And he wrote on a notebook on the way back in my truck because I took him out there. I think he took me out for lunch, actually. Anyway, he scribbled a number down in my notebook. I've probably still got it on file because I'm a bit like that. I keep paperwork. He wrote down $1,400 or something retarded. I put in there $3,000 because I kind of figured that it can't be $1,400. It's too cheap. So in some cases, in that situation, I actually dragged his little ass out there and I pointed his nose at the work and he still got the numbers wrong. And you know what? He didn't care when he came back to me and said, oh, Max, it's $2,500. That's what it's going to cost to do that job. I'm like, yeah, okay, Andy, no sweat. Lucky I'm a better estimator of electrical than you are. So in some cases when it is more detailed and more intricate, then I will insist on getting a sub-trade. The challenge with that is it means my quoting process elongates because I've got to wait for these guys to get back to me with numbers, which drives me friggin' nuts. But I'm really good at going, come on, mate, get that number into me. Give me that quote. I'll get you a 6-pack if you can get it to me by Friday. If you got to bribe them, right? And then just make sure that you've got everything sorted out. All right.
Todd from TikTok.
Hey, Todd.
Best advice for a 21-year-old who's about to go out by himself after being qualified for 2 years.
We have got to do a friggin'... Okay, Todd...
You should check out our playlist on YouTube that is titled Starting Up Your Contracting Business.
Right. Starting Up Your Contracting Business. Do we have an episode for Todd?
And that has quite a few different episodes in it. One is episode 80, 69, and 92. They all are related to starting up your contracting
80,
business.
69. Just go and check it out. There's a podcast that I do around starting up your business properly, and that will just knock the lid off of it. But feel free to email me if you got more specifics. max@businessforbuilders.ca. All my staff, the office is closed next week, but true to form, I'll probably be in here because this is like my second home. And it's probably a good opportunity. If you're going to hit me up next week and I will get back to you. So, but go and check out. That's why we do the resource. This is really good for really quick, snappy questions. But look, bottom line, Todd, dream big, start small, systemize the shit out of everything, focus on financial management, look at human resource management, strategies and understanding, and then focus on business development fundamentals. How do you go about growing a business safely and securely? They're the 6 that I really nail down. But if you just troll through some of my podcasts, go into the search bar perhaps, and that might help you find some of the videos that are relative or relating to starting up the biz as a new guy or girl. That'll really help you out. But again, email me if you need something more specific. I'm happy to punch you back a response at some point. Where are we at? We got any more comments? Any more love?
Yeah, user from TikTok. How can you go above and beyond others in your field to get the job?
I think it all starts with your messaging on social, mate. Thanks, Todd. Cheers to you, buddy. Have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all that sort of good stuff. I think it all comes down from your messaging. It's really got to tie together. You can't, even me, as good as when I'm selling general contractors, when I'm pitching general contractors, this whole, Smith & Sons franchise thing, I still get hung up on. It's hilarious, right? And I know you can't believe that, but it happens. So when you go out and you're a builder and you go and talk to a client, they don't trust you. The wall of distrust is right here, and it doesn't matter how good looking you are, how good you smell, et cetera, they still don't trust you, and rightly so, because people are getting screwed over left, right, and center in the industry. So what it comes down to, if you go and check out our website, smithandsons.ca, I want you to, here's your homework, go and listen to every single, how many's on there, 22 testimonials? Go and listen to every single video client testimonial that's on my website. Start with that. That's what's going to give you the competitive advantage. When I can have past customers, happy customers, raving fan type customers talking to prospective customers without me, the builder, being anywhere near that, magic happens, okay? But to get those videos, it takes a lot of work before you even get your first video. But you've got to understand the concept. Maybe I should do a podcast on that, the psychology around getting the clients to be raving fans. But boy, oh boy, yeah, it's quite the, it's a very all-encompassing, multifaceted type operation to get it that way. And the last one that's out there, a couple by the name of Ellen and Rob.
Rob and Ellen, man.
Rob and Ellen. It's an 8-minute video. And it almost you might think, how could that possibly be good to have? But I'm telling you, it is a fantastic project and it is a fantastic video testimonial. It's a credit to our creative team. They do an awesome job. Okay.
Last question.
Okay. Last question again. Sweet.
Damien from TikTok. He says, for growth, employees versus contractors for our renovation company.
Damo, I would look, mate, it really does. Some guys make it work with a lot of workers in-house. Others work super sub-heavy. I think it comes down to the individual that you are, and it comes down to the individual maybe that you've got working for you. I think if you're in renos, you're probably going to need maybe a superintendent, or a lead carpenter with maybe a carpenter's helper. But as a side strategy, you might prefer to have, now I'm not saying you've got to get your missus to do this, but an office nanny, generally speaking, to someone that can actually control, and that you give them the direction, you point, they punch. Someone who watches the business metrics, make sure the clients are being communicated with, making sure orders are being, you're not dropping. If you got someone in the office, even though that's not what we call the cost of goods sold, in other words, it's an off-site expense, it might actually create efficiencies, because I would say that you're more of a construction ninja than an office ninja. So an office nanny might help you. Then what you need is just a lead carpenter on site to do the work and allow you to sell. You're kind of middleman between your office nanny and your lead carpenter on a job site. So, and it depends on the size of your renovation projects too, man. But I think it's a mixture. That would be the answer.
He said 2 in the office.
Got 2 in the office now. Righto, day, mate. Well, you're onto it, mate. It'd be interesting to see what you do for revenue. And I'd love to know what his fixed expense break-even point is and what his profit margin would be. Anyway, we'll cover that next year. Tell your mum I said hello, and we will see you next year on the Business for Builders Q&A on TikTok and Instagram. Peace out. Maybe I should finish with a tune, but I haven't got one. All right, folks. We'll catch up with you again. Email me. Call me. No, don't call me. Email me. Max at Business for Builders. Catch ya. See you, champs.